Hi everyone, I'm Brent Graham. Welcome to the Handicap Rugby Chat That Matters. It's Thursday night, it's 9 o'clock. We've got no load shedding, and that means we're going to be talking Super Rugby Week 8 handicaps. I'll have a panel joining me. I've just got one of them on for now. But before we start the show, if you haven't subscribed to our shows yet, go underneath this, click the subscribe button, and hit the little bell. It means you'll get notified of all of our shows, including next week, a golf show. We're going to do the US Masters. Haven't decided if we'll do a live show yet, but we are going to do the US Masters preview next week. I think we'll do all of the majors this year. I don't really follow golf close enough anymore to do every event every week, but we'll certainly have some experts in to talk about the golf next week as well. If you missed the GG Gaming Gone Mad show, we'll put a link up to that at the end of the show as well. But we've got some big rugby to look forward to this weekend. There's 7 games, 3 on Friday, 4 on Saturday, and I know that some of the boys have really been getting stuck in from a betting perspective already. Let's just have a look then who our guest is there down in Cape Town. It looks a lot like Henrik Swart, a man who no doubt has got plenty of money down. Henrik, good to have you on the show.
Hi, Brent. Yeah, nice to be back. Last week, the Crusaders delivered for us on the best bet. Brilliant defensive effort display from them. And yeah, overall, it was a okay-ish weekend for me. Lost a bit on going overs on Bulls points in Durban. That was it's one of the golden rules for me in betting is you always go unders, and then the quote was just too low. The bookies pulled me in, like went overs over 20.5, 1.5 Bulls points, and last day that was a biggish bet for me. So yeah, overall I think I was about square for the weekend, but yeah, looking forward to this weekend.
Yeah, that's not a bad result. I don't think, Henrik, the way things have been going for me of late. Absolutely can't do a thing right. Even played a game of poker last night, and the game ended at midnight, and 20 minutes before midnight, I was nicely up. And I then thought I sucked a guy in, and I got a flush with just the river to come. And unfortunately, I slow played it, and the river came with the same suit as well, the ace, the 2 of spades. And it turns out he had 1 spade in his hand, and it happened to be the ace of spades. And I absolutely got cleaned out. So when the game finished, I was done. So my run is absolutely horrific. So just to let you know that Hein Dumont will be joining us. He's a little bit late. No Gavin Cohen Oracle Rugby tonight, Henrik. He's on a bit of a sabbatical. He didn't give any details, but I can only assume that means one thing. He stormed into 1 or 2 of those games last week, and he got badly burnt.
Yeah, he had on that Waratahs game. I remember he took some bigger prices, bigger handicaps at bigger prices. So I think he got quite a bit of money down on the minus on the Waratahs. Yeah, that was a freakish result. The Waratahs beating the Crusaders the previous weekend and then losing to the Sunwolves. Yeah, that Sunwolves that cost us a bit of money this year already. I think a few punters would be cursing them. But yeah, they're playing good rugby, and Aiden Parker can't miss a kick at goal.
Unbelievable kicking form. It really is. And yeah, I mean, that was one of the great shocks of all time. Anyone who picked the Sunwolves. And we had one guy, believe it or not, in our Super Brew group, the 55 guys who've all put in 500 Rand. We had one guy who picked the Sunwolves. He got 2.5 points. But I'm sorry, if a guy's picking the Sunwolves, I can't see him as a contender come the end of the season, eh? No,
surely not. If you pick the Sunwolves to win that game, unfortunately, I can't think you do know too much about rugby. Surely, I can't. That's a crazy result.
Well, I must say, I do play poker with the guy, and he's pretty aggressive and a pretty decent poker player. He's won every jolly time I've played with him. And just Emil asking if I play Silver Sands. Emil, no, this was a cash game, a private cash game. We play once a month. There's about 10 of us. I joined it earlier this year, and I must say, I thoroughly enjoyed it. And on that note, welcome to all the boys in the live chat. Nico de Toy saying he's playing Silver Sands poker as we speak. So good to know the boys still play with online poker. I'm not sure about the legalities of it all in South Africa at the moment. Yeah. I've actually never played online poker because, Henrik, I've just never had the time. I've just thought if I play online poker, then I'm not going to be able to research my sports betting.
Yeah, I used to play a bit of Silver Sands when it was still legal. But yeah, I'm not sure whether it's still legal to play. And I've had a bit of trouble with my bank, so I stopped doing that.
I believe there's a big reward if you turn people in who play illegally. So, Nico, if you wouldn't mind posting your address on the live chat there, please. No, I'm only kidding. Well, let's get into the rugby, though. Hein will be joining us shortly. We get into the first game, Henrik, and we got the Highlanders up against the Hurricanes. That's taking place in Dunedin under the roof, of course. Now, this was quite interesting. We did the handicap projection show with GG Gaming on Sunday, and Dave Oswald, one of their traders, was in with me. And look, they priced up 9 to 10 the pair, which has been fairly close to the mark. I actually initially thought the Highlanders might be quite firm favourites for this game, but they weren't. And subsequent team news suggests that the Hurricanes are probably worthy favourites here.
Yeah, Brent, I see the money has come for the Hurricanes. I actually took a bit of 11 to 10 Islanders earlier in the week, and then I saw the price go up, and last I checked, there were about 13 to 10 Islanders to win the game. I don't rate the Hurricanes. The pack is very light, and I think they won't. The Islanders will dominate them up front. I know Aaron Smith is a big loss. I agree with that. That's a big loss. Waisake Naholo, this isn't that big a loss for me. He's way off form, and probably won't be a popular opinion, but I think the team is better off without Naholo at this stage. I think there's value in the Islanders at home at odds against, and yeah, but I can't see them running away, either team running away with the game. So I've gone for the 1 to 12 market. Islanders 1 to 12 at 2.25 to 1. Yeah, taking the bigger price and just lowering the stake because I'm not confident yet, but I think there's value in the Islanders to win the game.
Yeah, I've got to say this could be a close one, and the 1 to 12 either way, I think it's going to see a lot of action, Henrik. I know Chris has gone for a bet. I think it's available at Sunbet, where he's gone either team to win by 7 points or less, including the draw. So he's really looking for the game to be within one score, and that's also quite a popular outcome in New Zealand derbies. I think you got about 12 to 10 on that in the Good for the Game preview.
Yeah, Chris, he goes with that bet a lot, and I think it's been working for him. He's done quite well with it. I just the 7 points is just a bit low for me because the teams they always try and be a modern converted try. So I've gone for the 1 to 12 market just for pick the team I like and go for the 1 to 12 market. So I'm a bit scared of that 1 to 7 either way.
Right, well, I'm going to stick to my guns. Yeah, I priced this up, and admittedly, like I said on the show at the time, sometimes you've got to admit you priced it wrong. I priced this wrong. I thought the Highlanders would be sort of 6.5 point favourites. But even given that, I do think that there's value in the Highlanders, and I'm going 13 to 10 here, Henrik. I'm going the Highlanders to win the game. And just having a bit of a chuckle at Scene Bo. He's saying, when will you boys listen to me about the Sunwolves? Because he always tells us each week that the Sunwolves can win. And he's spot on, isn't he?
Yeah, I saw that comment by him, and I thought to what I'm going to say about the Rebels, and he's probably going to tell us again that they're not listening, but I like the Rebels against the Sunwolves, so I'm going against the Sunwolves again, but we'll get to that.
We'll get to that one now. Just Pierre Killian coming in and saying the points line here is 47.5, and it is under roof. New Zealand derbies tend to be obviously very exciting end-to-end stuff, but the fence tends to be pretty good as well. And I used to like a bet. I don't know how many bookies still offer it, like 41 to 50 points inclusive, for total points. That's where I often saw the New Zealand derbies falling in. Would you be going overs or unders here?
Now that bet you just mentioned, that was always a nice one. I know BetXchange normally had the 3 options.
Yeah, that was it.
It was about 15 to 10 for the middle one. And that was always a nice one in the New Zealand game. On 47.5, this is a tough one. I was actually lining up for going overs because neither these teams are that great at defense. The Islanders, they've leaked a bit, but Glenn Jackson has put me off the overs. So at this stage, I'm not. I might just go overs on Islanders points because they are the underdogs. Their points will be lower, so I might take a smaller bet on overs Islanders points, which I think should be about 23.5. 22, 23.5, 24 maybe actually. But yeah, at this stage, I'm staying out of the total points just because Glenn Jackson is the ref.
Yeah, Pierre reckons that, he posted the quote. He says, he thinks it looks low, but the unders would have arrived in 8 of the last 10 games. And interesting, you mentioned Jackson as the ref there, Henrik, because in the previous show, we had Justin on, of course, on the GG Gaming Gone Mad, and he was saying that he also doesn't think Justin is a point-scoring ref, and he was telling me after the show he taught you everything you know about rugby, reffing, and betting.
Yeah, I learned everything from Justin about the ref. Now we exchanged a bit of thoughts during the week over WhatsApp, so our style of betting is quite similar, so we enjoy speaking about rugby with each other.
Excellent. Well, that's that game then. We haven't got Hein in. We'll get his opinion on it later on. But let's move on to the second game, Henrik, and that's the Reds up against the Stormers in Brisbane. This is quite interesting. I think the Stormers opened favourites. I actually made the Reds -2.5 favourites here, but I think the likes of Gigi actually came out Stormers -5.5. but the Stormers have got quite a few injury problems. And this game, if I look at Sunbet now, they're betting 9 to 10 the pair.
Yeah, this for me, this is almost a flip a coin game. This is a tough one to call. The Stormers, like you said, have got a few problems with injuries, and Peter Steph has gone home because his wife is giving birth this week. And I see there's been money for the Reds. This is very tough, so I'm going with the home team, and I'm going the 1 to 12 market again for the better price. So I'm going Reds 1 to 12 at 7 to 10 was the best price I saw. But the big bet for me here, and this is one of my bigger points fancies for the weekend, is unders. Like you and me, we discussed it just before the show. There's 50.5, and Justin and you discussed it as well. There's 50.5 at Bet365, so our bookmaker should come out at that mark, and I'm all over the under 50.5. Yeah.
Well, I did see on GG Gaming had under 50.5, and Justin did say if anyone wanted to go over 50.5, he was willing to lay them 12 to 10, and you can watch the GG Gaming game Gone Match over the details. But Henrik, I think you and I are aligned on this game in terms of the unders. Under 50.5 looks a good play. I also am, I was initially leaning towards the Stormers, but I'm pretty undecided. Haven't got a firm view on that one yet. But I can tell you that we've had someone join us on the show, coming in from George there in the Eastern Cape. It's Couch Critic Hindemont. He's probably racing to beat a deadline for one of his many articles he's been writing, or perhaps he was just watching the end of an IPL game. We'll find out now. Couch, welcome to the show. Good to have you on, and thanks for joining us.
How's it, Brent? Sorry for being late. I was actually at a cricket umpire meeting, and obviously I played taxi, so I had to drop a few guys, and it took me a bit more time than I was expecting. But no, my Bet Olymp writing is all done, and I've got some nice bets with him, so now I'm ready to go. In terms of, it sounds like you guys are on the Stormers there, so Stormers. I actually heard Hendrik on the flip a coin, and that sounds pretty much right there. I've said it before. I think if the Stormers play like they played in the first two games, they can beat the Australian team, but somehow they always seem to play worse when they play the game that they're supposed to win. So I think they might be struggling a bit without Eben Etzebeth there and without Peter Steph the toy. So I'm a little bit worried that maybe Brad Thorne will have the Reds up for this one. I'm thinking probably earlier in the week I was on Stormers, but 1 to 12 Reds is actually it's 1 to 12 either way for me. Maybe Mackham or Chris's 1 to 7 is a decent play, but I think you should decide which way you want to go, 1 to 12 Reds or Stormers.
Right, I think most of the boys in the live chat agreeing that the under 50.5 is probably the play. Seen Bo just having a go at my geography there, saying that George is in fact in the Western Cape and not the Eastern Cape, as I said. So he's telling me it's a 4-hour drive. I don't know where from, but anyway.
Shocking, Brent. Come on, man. Get it right.
Seen you. I'm going to start listening to you, mate. You tipped the Sunwolves last week. I can't argue with that sort of form. Right, that's good.
Are you going to mind if I go back to the first game since I missed it?
Let's take you back to the first game. Before I take you back to the first game, while it's on my mind, you mentioned Olymp. You've been writing some articles for them, which we've been covering on Good for the Game. But the thing that interested me when I saw a tweet of yours earlier in the week is they're letting you set some of the markets. So if you find a market overseas, for example, that they're not carrying and you want to carry it in your preview, they'll price up on that market for you. I like that.
Yes, it's actually a nice one that I got going for the cricket with them. So they were very accommodating and said, okay, I can pick a few markets that I like and do that in my previews. And then, surprisingly, they said I can do the same with rugby. So I've actually been asking a few guys which markets they'd like to see, and then they come to the party. So I said, obviously, I've been known for the try scorers, so I'd like to try and do something there, and they do boost them a little bit as well. So I'm really keen to, especially on the try scorers, guys who like to get involved in that. Hopefully we can get a few good things going in the coming weeks as well. And we do have 1 or 2 for this week as well. But we'll also look at some other markets. So people are welcome to let me know what they want to see.
Excellent. Well, just a post here from Vince's son. Can you shout out my friend Nick Gurr? It's his birthday today. Happy birthday, Nick. So good to have you. I haven't seen Vince's son comment. I wonder if Vince's son's dad's on the show as well today.
Brent, we've made it to the big time when we get asked to mention people, eh?
Yeah, no, that's it. A shout out on the handicap is better than a shout out on Jacaranda FM or Jeremy Mansfield on Hot 91 FM. I can tell you it's a lot better than John Wallen's show on. No, I'm not going there. Right, let's go. Let's go to the first game quickly. Then, Han, give us your comments there. Just to let you know, Henrik and myself both got a leaning towards the Highlanders, although not overly confident.
I'm leaning the other way, guys. I just think. I know Henrik's not a fan of the Hurricanes. I'm usually not either, but I just think without Aaron Smith in the Highlanders team, they could have an opportunity, the Hurricanes, of upsetting them in this one. I haven't been very impressed with the Highlanders, and now I think I'll go for a desperate Hurricanes team. I think they need to turn things around, and I don't think the Highlanders are that strong a pack that they're really going to boss them around all day. And if you don't really dominate them, then the Hurricanes have one dynamic backline there. They can kill you from anywhere. So I just think that somewhere along the line, someone, Ben Lamb or Lau Mapi, is going to crash through there and make it a winning score. So with Bet Olymp, I actually went for a 1-7 Hurricanes win. But if you want to go for a 1-12 Hurricanes, I don't see them winning by more than that. But I think the 1-12 is a good one to go for there. And then obviously the try scorers come in there, and I've asked them to give me a price on Ardie Sevilla, and I think we got about 25-1 on Ardie Sevilla's first try scorer, which is pretty decent.
Right. Well, just Etienne Breitenbach just mentioning in the preview there, a market he'd like to see, and maybe you can relay this to the guys, is the time of first try. He's saying you'd like to back like a try before the 20-minute mark. So is this something to maybe make a note of their couch?
Yes, cool. Actually, I had a look for that, but the markets I can look at overseas, they didn't offer it. I don't know if they'll do it slightly closer to kickoff. So hopefully I can have a look at that. But I did have a look because there were one or two games that I thought, okay, I'd like to get onto an early try on this one.
Okay, excellent. Well, that's the first two games covered, and that takes us across to Friday night. It's the Lions up against the Sharks. That's taking place at Emirates Airline Park in Johannesburg. I will not be attending that game. I will be watching it from the comfort of my couch. And Henrik, let's start with you. You've had to listen to us two talking for quite a while now. We've got a handicap, I think, still sitting around the 6.5, 7.5 point mark. I'll quickly have a look at Sunbet now. They've got a nice layout there. We got, minus 6.5 Lions. And we got the Sharks looking to bounce back from a very disappointing loss to the Bulls last week, in that they really dominated much of the game.
Yeah, the Sharks, they really should have won that game against the Bulls. That was a big hit again for my Sharks to win the South African Conference bid. I would have actually taken the draw at the end as well, but the Bulls came through. The Bulls, they were desperate after their loss against the Chiefs. I still don't rate the Lions. I know most people will not agree with me here, but I don't rate the Lions. The Sharks, they have a very good record at Ellis Park. And they have the advantage of having played under Mike Fraser last week, so they're playing Easter ref again. I don't like the team the Lions have picked. I think those two centres, the Sharks, they should find a few holes there, they should get a few points. And the Sharks, they're very good on defence, so the Lions won't necessarily score tries that easily. I like the Sharks plus 7.5 here. I have the Sharks down to win this game. I think they'll win the game. And also one of my stronger points fancies, I'll be going overs on Sharks points here. It's a 7 o'clock game Friday evening. Night games normally a bit lower scoring than the afternoon games. But I still think with the conditions should be dry hopefully, and I think the Sharks should find a few holes, and hopefully I can get a quote of about mid-20s at the highest for Sharks points. I'll go over some Sharks points here.
I must say you make a convincing argument. I've also found myself leaning towards the Sharks. I'm just having a look at that Sharks record in Johannesburg. They haven't won in their last 5, but to your point, they've got a pretty good record there. The last 3, they would have beaten the 7-point handicap in their last 3 games there.
Yes. Yeah, all those were close losses. I checked on that Latin Pick and Go website this afternoon as well, and they have a solid record at that spot. So I can't see the Lions running away with it. In fact, I have the Sharks to win this game.
I like that Sharks points play as well. I must just tell you, living here in Joburg at the moment, suddenly the weather's taken a bit of a cool turn. And I was speaking to my son's rugby coach this evening when I picked him up from rugby, because we got a big kickoff at 8 o'clock against Bryanston High on Saturday morning. Handicap, Rand Park, minus 12.5 points. Get on the minus, everybody. Anyway, enough about that. But he was telling me he's a geography teacher and he's been looking at the weather. And he reckons it's going to rain in Joburg tomorrow, and it's going to rain possibly on Saturday as well. So just bear that in mind. Let's keep an eye on the weather. But certainly, I'll let you guys know on the Good for the Game forum. I'll post weather conditions probably an hour or so before kickoff, and make sure we can make an educated decision on that one. Let's go down to George, somewhere around the Western/Eastern Cape. And what have you got there? What have you got there for us, Couch, in this game? Any confident calls?
Just go for the Southern Cape, Brent. That's the safest, eh? Listen, I'm just a little bit concerned with you speaking to the coach there. Sounds like you just want to make sure he's starting lineup there. No, listen, early in the week, and maybe it was a backlash of the game, I was pretty upset at the Sharks, and I don't know. I just think, I think their race is run. I'm thinking it's game over for the Sharks team. I think nothing's working in camp. Some people have signed already. Akker van der Merwe is out. I don't know. I think it's chaos. I think everyone wants the season to be over. The Boks want to go to the World Cup, and the rest don't care. Robert wants to go play overseas, and I think other Robert is looking for a new deal, because I don't see him staying on very long. So I think it's all she wrote. And the only problem is the team that Sway selected. Again, I don't know. He's showing zero fear factor there. He's just putting in his youngsters one after the other, and he's taking it on the chin. But thus far, they've been rewarding him. So Tayanti at 13 is interesting. He's got two, I don't know, semi-wingers in there with Lionel Mapu at 12 as well. A bit of a concern, but Carl Brink at 7 is a good one. I'm glad he's back. Worried about Dylan Smith not being at loose head again. So I hear what you guys say. The Sharks should be fine up front, but they should have been fine with a lot of teams up front, and they haven't dominated anyone thus far. They just matched them. So I'm thinking at the end of the day, the Lions will have a little bit too much firepower, too much skill and step there for a boring Sharks team. And I'm going to take, I was actually pretty bullish on the minus. I'm not quite as bullish now at the moment anymore, but I still think the Lions are going to win this one. And I actually saw a nice tip on Good for the Game, which was the second half handicap on the Lions, minus 2.5, they said. So I actually like that one. I think the Sharks will run out of legs there. I know it's not an afternoon game or anything, but I think the lungs will start hurting in the second half, and the Lions to win it going away.
Right, well, we got Matthew Coyle posting. I think he might be from the overseas, because he's talking about Bet365, and that just another market that he likes is team to trail in the match, a market he says Bet365 have. So just maybe another market for you to take a note of there, Hein. And it gets me thinking this, guys. Perhaps we should do a show, not the handicap show, but a special show at some stage, and talk about what sort of rugby markets are the most popular and which ones we'd like to see the bookmakers carry. Henrik, what do you think about that one?
Yeah, that's a good idea, Brent, because some of the bookmakers just have limited options, and the best we have in South Africa, with the best variety, is the bookmaker who I don't like to name. I can't bet with them anymore, but they have the best. It would be nice if we can convince a few bookmakers to carry a bit more of a variety on the markets.
It certainly would. Well, I guess I better give I've kind of shared my opinion on this game. I also like what Henrik says, the Sharks points there, but I am a bit undecided on the handicap at this one. I don't think it's a game where I'm going to be involved in the outrights. I'll wait and see what conditions look like and just stick to the points. Couch, let me just go back to you for a sec. Anything else on this game before we move off? I know you sometimes like to come in with a try scorer bet.
Yes, definitely, and that's where I got hold of my guys there at Bet Olymp, and they've got me Malcolm Marks. I think we've got 13-1 as first try scorer, so it's not as lucrative as Ardie Sevilla, but I think your chances are pretty good. Yeah, I mean, the Lions do like to go for the rolling ball, and it's usually a fight between him and Marnus Skuman to get their hands on the ball, but lately I've seen Marks has said, listen, I'm captain of this ship, so he's taken the boot, so hopefully that bodes well for our 13-1 there.
I think it's a cracking bet, that the 13-1. But let's move on to Saturday's games. And the first game we got is the Crusaders, and the Crusaders have really shot out in the betting. I think there was 16.5, 18.5 early in the week against the Brumbies. I mean, I'm on Sunbet's site now, I see minus 25.5 the Crusaders. And Couch, this handicap has really just ballooned out. And I mean, it's hard to argue really, because the Brumbies have been terrible on the road, and the Crusaders certainly looked impressive last week against the Hurricanes. But 25.5, is that too big?
Yes, it's crazy, Brent. After doing that live show, it was 16.5 that they came out, and I liked it. I took a bit, but I wasn't like, this is screaming, take it. And the more you think about it, the more you realize that was actually pretty much a steal at 16.5. First home game for the Crusaders in quite a while, and I think they're gonna look to put on a bit of a show. And it's a decent team. The Goodie's out, but nothing major there, so. It's a good side, and as you said, I mean, the Brumbies, they've been good technically, but they've got a rolling maul and a decent set piece. But after that, they don't have much, and they're just not going to be able to cope with what the Crusaders have got. And if you get to 26.5, then obviously there's just that fear that maybe at the end, the Crusaders take their foot off the pedal. I know we've said they have to be 3 tries ahead, but still, you can take your foot off the pedal a bit and let in 1 or 2. So obviously, at those kind of handicaps, I'm a bit concerned, but. Yeah, if you could have gotten anything under 21.5, I think that was a very good play. At the moment, I wouldn't be playing the handicap on either side. I wouldn't go against the Crusaders on anything under 30, to be honest.
Yeah, I must say, I also be reluctant to oppose the Crusaders. I might look at a speculative player, something like 21 to 30 points inclusive margin, for the game to actually fall more or less in line with the handicap. It's a bit like that if you're backing a side within 1 score of the like Chris does with Sunbet, on some of the close New Zealand games. Here you're effectively betting on it to be close to the handicap, and that's at about 28 to 10 or 3 to 1. But let's go down to Cape Town and see what Hendrik fancies and whether this Crusaders line movement has got anything to do with him.
No, it's not me, Brent. I missed out on the 16.5, and after I missed out on that, I stayed out, and I didn't expect the line to go out this much. Initially, when I had a look at this handicap this morning, before I saw the teams, I was undecided, and I also thought, you can't go against the Crusaders. It's brave going against the Crusaders, especially in Christchurch. But I can't exactly agree with Couch saying Goodie is not that big, that it's out. For me, it's massive. He's so important to that back line. He creates a lot of tries for the back three. A very clever centre. I think they're going to really miss him. And he's worth about 8 to 10 points for me alone. Just after I saw the team and I saw Goodie being out, I decided I'll take a bit after Brumbies plus 25.5. I can see the Crusaders going up to a big lead and then taking the foot off the pedal, and 25 is a lot of points on a handicap. So a smallish play on the plus 25.5, and then this being an afternoon game, there should be some points in it. The Crusaders' point squad will probably be very high, probably be in the 40s. So it'd be too high for me to back it. So I think the tactic here might be to wait until the 50th or 60th mark and then take over some Brumbies points. Because the Crusaders defense, they shouldn't score too many early on. But later on the game might be open and Crusaders might take the foot off the pedal and relax a bit on defense. So I think going later in the game, going over some Brumbies might be a good call on the points.
Yeah, looking at the in-running play. Interesting to see, of course, the early kickoff. We don't get too many of those in New Zealand, so that means we hopefully won't get too much moisture around, depending on the weather conditions, of course. Couch, let me ask you, is your favourite hooker playing for the Brumbies? I haven't seen the team selection yet, but you've been on, I think it's Fainga, you've been on him for first try scorer, and I mean, he's virtually paid off half your bond.
Yeah, definitely. But I mean, the only problem is if you don't think the Brumbies might not score a try in the first hour and then he's going to get subbed, it means you're a bit concerned there. So I wouldn't be jumping at him on this one. And again, the Crusaders are one of the better mauls as well. So that's not really a play for me this week. I know a few guys on Twitter who might be on it, but I won't be. I'd actually look at something like first scoring play, Crusaders try. They usually start fast, and I don't think they really like to go for goal. That could be a nice one. And the other one is that time first try to be scored. I think that could be go low there on the Crusaders, but none of them are markets that I've seen at the moment. And the other one is I actually like some of the guys that they have brought in that you do get a chance because of some guys resting and George Bridge being out, like that Jordan, I think it's Jordan, Will Jordan or something. Yeah, he's on the right wing, and I think he's pretty decent. So if you are overseas or you do have some kind of bookie that has it, maybe 2 tries or more for Will Jordan. Yeah, Sivu's pretty good, and I mean, just imagine the depth that they have. That guy sits on the bench, or sits not even on the bench, outside the squad for 5 weeks, and then he comes back and he's like flipping, I don't know, he's like stuck in the holo there. So I mean, that's crazy, the depth they have. But yeah, I'll back it. I don't know, just somehow I like a right winger more than a left winger for some reason. So I like his elusive running style. So I think Jordan he needs to be in the fantasy teams. That's all I'm gonna say about that.
Right, well, Dino Zebek coming in, and he says he thinks the Crusaders will take their foot off the pedal. Hurricanes held to 0 last week, and he's expecting the same again. And I tend to agree. I think the Crusaders, like Hendrik said, could go out fast, and then this game could come back together. But that's the end of the. Am I talking about the wrong game, guys?
No.
We haven't moved on to the Blues yet. I suddenly thought, sure, but don't tell me I'm chatting about the wrong game here. So.
We're going over to your Blues now.
Yeah, I was going to say, I'm so eager to get into the Blues. I thought we had already started talking about them. But let's move on to the Blues then, guys, because this has been big handicap movement. We had -4.5. The Blues opened up. I must say, I made this -7.5. The handicap now is generally 7.5. I see even 8.5 at Sunbet. Lots of money for the Blues. But Henrik, gee, as much as I like the Blues and I think they will deliver the handicap for the 3rd week running, you just can't get too carried away.
Yeah, Brent, like I said last week, I don't like backing the Blues when they are favourites. It just feels like they don't deliver then. But they delivered last week, and you've been calling them right for 2 weeks in a row now. I think they will win this game, but I'm not sure whether they'll cover the handicap. The handicap is well set here for me. I think the Waratahs, as bad as they were last week, I don't think they were mentally up for that game, and they just thought they could arrive and they will beat the Sunwolves. I think they will be mentally in a better space against the Blues, although Eden Park is a tough place to play. But I think they will stay in the game, but the Blues will do enough to win. So I'm again going for the 1-12 market here, Blues to win by 1-12.
I know you were obviously quite happy if you're on the Blues to see Rikai Aoni playing, because he's really looked in great form. And I must admit that Blues backline does look pretty impressive. And I guess for the Waratahs, key is that Bernard Foley is back. He isn't playing that well, but I think he can only improve on what was delivered at Fly Half last week.
Both the Ione brothers, they've been in brilliant form. Akira is very strong off the back of the scrum as well. When they have a 5-meter scrum, you can be assured he'll pick it up and most probably score a try. And Rico has been in scintillating form, running hard and stepping and very fast, scoring lots of tries. Now, Bernard Foley has been in horrible form, but his replacement, I didn't think the Waratahs could have. I thought anything was better than Bernard Foley and that guy that played last week with the white headgear. He had a shocker. Yeah, he gave about 2 or 3 tries to the Sunwolves on his own. So yeah, I think Bernard Foley, after being dropped, he will probably want to prove a point as well. They're missing Hooper, which is a loss, but I think the Waratahs should stay in the game. Yeah.
Right. Well, welcome to Des Simons on the show as well. Des, he was just saying the handicaps are very well set this week, and I think he's right. I think we'll have to do a quick analysis at the end of the show. Let's hope we find a nice best bet, and I may have to throw something in on the Pro 14 at the end of the show. I might have a best bet there, and I see Hendrik nodding his head furiously. I've got a feeling we could be aligned on that one. But before we get there, let's see what Couch has got in store with us on the Blues game, because, Couch, let's face it, you haven't been very complimentary about my Blues side in recent weeks.
Actually, I took some flack today on social there where I was said, after my preview, I said I like the Blues, and they said you've been saying how crap they are, and all of a sudden now you're on them. I said, obviously I haven't heard what I've been saying about the Waratahs either, because Hendrik has said that mentally they yell, and I just think they play mental. These folks, I don't know, they're not lacquer in their heads. And I think I don't rate Daryl Gibson as a coach. I think he's clueless. I think the team pretty much decide which players and how they want to play. And I think that's the issue. I mean, how you cannot use Israel Folau against the Japanese, I do not know, because he could handle 5 of them on his own. Anyways, I I think I'm in the Blues camp. I'm very firmly in the Blues camp. When you guys did the projections and we got 4.5, I emptied the tank there. So I'm all in on the Blues on this one. It would have been my best bet if it stayed at 4.5. If you can get 6.5, then I'd still be in it. Obviously, I like to be under that try margin. So as soon as it goes to 7.5, it's a bit more tricky. It's still a firm punt for me, but I won't really make it a silver level bet at that rate. But no, I really like the Blues. I think they irritated me last week, but I think slowly but surely they're starting to get better and they're starting to find the best combinations and understanding maybe what Leon McDonald wants of them. And as I said, I'm not a fan of this Waratahs team. I know they might be a bit better than last week. They can't really be worse, but I think Hooper, he calls the shots. I think he's the main guy there, and without him, there'll be even less directions. And I'm liking the Blues on this one, and I'm liking Rico Ioane to get in for a few tries as well.
Yeah, I'm with you there. I do like the Blues. I'm not sure how involved I'm going to be getting on them, but if I can get a handicap around about the 6.5, 7.5 points, I'll certainly be getting involved. I didn't take any of the 4.5 early in the week. I decided to wait and have a look at team news, but I like the look of this Blues team, and I think they'll put this Waratahs side away fairly comfortably. Let's move on then to the Rebels against the Sunwolves. The Sunwolves, well, I think they must have come pretty close, aside from the first week against the Sharks, to beating every handicap they've played this season. They caused a massive upset last week, beating the Waratahs. Their second win of the season, oh yes, and the first win came away to the Chiefs in Hamilton. So they've really, really done well. And we see the handicap set here, and Couch, I'll stay with you at 14.5 points. I think I priced this one at 12.5 or 11.5. So I don't think there's been a lot of movement. Do you have anything, a bit of support for the Rebels though?
Yes, Brent, I haven't really gone against the Sunwolves a lot. I've always been a bit cautious of what they can do. And as I said, I said last week, Tony Brown was back and some of their more international senior players. So I actually think they should be improving as a unit. But this one, they're getting the top Australian team, a team that I'm very impressed with. I'm impressed with the type of rugby. I mean, they delivered last week for me. I was pretty confident on them. So that was a really nice win there. So I mean, it's tough, but again, the 14.5 is just that exact number that I don't like. It's a tough one, a late score, and they back in it, or they can stay in the mix, and it's tough for the Rebels to break free of a two-try margin. So the handicap for me is well set, and it's a difficult call. I think I'll pass this one over to Heinrich to find us a bet, because I'm not going to be involved on the handicap. I'll have a look at something else though.
Well, I got a feeling he is going to come up with something, because he did mention early in the show that he fancied something, and I think it was, I'm not too sure if it was the Rebels minus or the Sunwolves plus. What you got first there, Henrik?
The Rebels minus, Brent. The Rebels, they've treated me well this year so far, and I rate their coach, Dave Wessels, very highly as South African coach. He's a clever coach, and you can see his style on the Rebels already. And yeah, I don't think they will make the same mistakes that the Waratahs made, and I think they will play smarter rugby against the Sunwolves. I think that they will be more physical than what the Waratahs was up front. I see they've picked a very big pack. They've got, I think that's Luke Jones at 6. He's actually a lock playing blank for them. And I think they flat attack with Cooper playing very flat. They should find a few holes in the Sunwolves defense, and I'm sure Sinbo is going to have a go at us again for going Sunwolves. But yeah, I like the Rebels here. And when I checked this afternoon, there was still minus 13.5 at 9 to 10 with Hollywood Bet, so that's where I went.
Okay, at 9 to 10 there, right. I don't know, Henrik, you're twisting my arm there, I must admit. I do fancy the Rebels. I also like the Rebels, although I was unfortunately on the Reds last week and lost a valuable super brew point there. But I am also probably leaning towards the Rebels. If we had to look at total points line in this game, I'm expecting it to probably be, about 59.5?
Yeah, the Sunwolves games, the total points have been pretty high. Last week, I said that I would take anything under 60, and then it was 62.5, and I went for the over 62.5, and it ended on 60, I think, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, but it was on 60 for 20 minutes, if I remember correctly as well, there, Henrik.
On 59, Rebels' defense has been good, so that could put me off the taking overs. I know, the other thing is Adam Parker, he kicks everything. So the Sunwolves, they do score points because he's a very good kicker. But I would rather have a look at overs on Rebels' points, which should be in the mid-30s, if my calculations are right. What do you think, Brent? A bit more.
Yeah, I think Rebels' points as well. I'd obviously want to have a look at conditions there in Melbourne, but I think Rebels' points could be the call. I mean, the kicking of the Sunwolves has been absolutely magnificent, but I'm one of those guys, I'm expecting, it's a little bit like the Kings a few years ago in Super Rugby. I kept on expecting them to get that big hammering. I felt it was around the corner. And eventually it comes in about week 15 when I've done my money 14 weeks in a row. But you just got to make sure you got a big enough bet on it there in that particular week. But yeah, I have a feeling that this could be the week that the Sunwolves take a bit of a hiding. And leaning towards a handicap, but perhaps a better way of playing that is overs on Rebels' points. Yeah. Gents, that leaves us with just one game. If Couch doesn't have anything else to throw in, he's already given us. Have you already given us your thoughts on try scorers? You got anything on this game, Couch?
I think I'd be surprised if the points Rebels was anything. I think probably about 36. I think they'll give the Rebels about 36.5. And I don't know, it's a bit tough going overs on that. But I hear you guys. I do expect both teams to score. I know the Rebels are good at defense, but as you said, the kicker is really good, and the Sunwolves, they just play a really total game. So I do expect them to score a few tries. I'm still not convinced on the full-time handicap there. I might get something in running, and then if you do want to have a go at a little try there, I don't know what the price will be on Billy Meeks. I really like the way he plays, and I mean he's in top form. So if we can get a decent punt on him anytime try scorer, that would be a nice one. I definitely think he's got a good chance of scoring.
I know Henrik likes Meeks. So you rated the best inside centre in Australia, Henrik?
He's the best 12 in Australia, and if Australia doesn't pick him for the World Cup, I'll just Michael check us. Anything's possible, but yeah, for me, he's the best 12 in the country. He's better than Curtly Beale, currently better than Tamua, anyone they want to pick there. He's a very clever centre, and he creates a lot of tries for the guys outside him. I really rate him highly.
Right, yeah, I must say he has impressed me as well. I particularly enjoyed the way he played at Emirates Park a few weeks back against the Lions. That takes us on to our last Super Rugby game. Gee, for a show that hasn't had the Oracle on, we've chatted quite a bit on these games. But 7 Super Rugby matches will certainly take up quite a bit of time. And we got the Bulls against the Jaguares. I priced up the Bulls -9.5 or -10.5. That's on the Good for the Game forum. Make sure you go every Sunday when we open the rugby thread, and we have the video as well. But there has been quite a bit of support for the Jaguares. There's 7.5 at GG Gaming. I just had a look at Sunbet now, 5.5 points there. So the Jaguares have come in, and Andrick, Justin was saying, he was confirming on the show that it's not really as a result of money at this stage, more as a result of sort of team news on the Bulls. They don't have the strongest lineup out there.
Yeah, the Bulls team looks a bit light, especially with Pollard not playing. He's very important to them. He runs the show. Manu Lebok, he did well at fly-off for the Bulls in the Currie Cup last year, but he hasn't been tested at Super Rugby level at 10. And it's a difficult position. I'm not confident here, but I feel the plus is the right way to go. I just don't like the team the Bulls have picked. And yeah, this afternoon when I made my notes and I checked all the websites, the bookmakers sites, it was +8.5 at 9 to 10 Jaguars available at Hollywood Bets. I'm not sure whether that would still be available, but yeah, so I'll go to plus at 6.5. I'll still go to plus for the Jaguars, but not very confident on it. It's a 3 o'clock game, so you would expect points, and with a few new combinations for the Bulls and Lebok playing attacking rugby, I think there should be a few points. So if the quote is not too high, I think going overs here or going overs on total points or on Jaguars points would be the play here for me.
Yeah, I'd have to agree with you there. I'll pop on while Hein is talking, just have a look at Hollywood Betside. And I must say one thing about Hollywood, they tend to hold their prices a little bit. They're not afraid to stand them, and that's one thing I like about them. But one of the other reasons they like to hold their prices is because if I come in, they know they're going to take me. I just battle. They're a great bookmaker, but they've got the rub over me. I battle with Hollywood. But I'm never afraid to take them on, and every now and again I hit them. But somehow or other, they just always seem to know when to hold the line and tempt me, and I struggle to get them. But let's go to Couch and see what he thinks about this game.
I did my preview on Wednesday morning, and I had Bulls -6.5 as my best bet. I was thinking this is my gold medal play. Yeah, I'm gonna go big, and then luckily I didn't really pull the trigger myself too much. I did have a little nibble, and then obviously the team news came out, and it was an absolute shocker. I mean, going without, obviously they were going to play without Schalk Brits, but Schalk Brits, Jesse Kriel and Andre Pollard out. That makes a big difference to their team. I mean, for some unknown reason, they've got Cornel Hendricks on the bench. I mean, that must be the worst impact player in the history of rugby. I don't know what they expect him to come on and do. That's poor.
I wonder if Cornel Hendricks is on Twitter.
Let's just get this right. I don't think he's a bad player, but not an impact player. I mean, I don't see what kind of impact he can make. And Jade Stichling at wing, I don't know. This is not my favorite Bulls team, but I don't know. I'm struggling. The Jags away from home, they couldn't beat the Chiefs at home. This isn't the same Jags team as they were last year, so I'm still not going to put people off going for the minus if you think the Bulls can keep it together with the youngsters. But I think my biggest play on this game now is going to be on the points. I'm 100% in this. I think it's going to be a running affair. I think those youngsters, Moni Libok, he's got one pace, and that's 5 out of 5. So it's going to go horribly wrong or horribly right, probably a few times in the same match for him. So I think it's going to be free flowing. So that'll be my main interest here. I'm definitely going to be involved in points, and I'll just hope the Bulls keep things going long enough to hopefully at least sneak maybe the 5.5 still.
Well, I'm just having a look at my social media accounts now. You know, every now and again I get notified about someone following someone else. And a certain Mr. Hendricks has just followed Couch Critics. So going to be interesting to see if there'll be anything there. But I'm sure he's got a lovely personality, the lad. He just, Couch doesn't want to see him on the bench. That brings us, chaps, to the end of Super Rugby. I can tell you I was leaning very heavily towards the Bulls early in the week. But like you guys, having a little bit of a reset of thought there. And I'll probably look at the points market here on Saturday afternoon. It's the last game of the weekend, so we're either going to be trying to consolidate some victories or we're going to be chasing some losses. Guys, I want to come to the best bets now, but very quickly, Henrik was nodding earlier when I said about having a best bet in the Pro 14. And Henrik, mine comes on Sunday. When does yours come?
Well, Brent, yeah, I agree with that. And like you said, now the last game at 3 o'clock, but it's not the last game for the weekend because we've got the Pro 14. And I think it was Shaft who posted about the Kings. He doesn't think the Kings should be underdogs for the game, and I completely agree. They're playing at the University Stadium again, and the best I've seen it currently this afternoon was 19-20. But I also like the Cheetahs. I think they should they should beat Ospreys easily as well, and I've taken a double for both teams to win, just over 2-1.
Right, that's a nice one. So the Kings and Cheetahs to win. I mean, let's face it, Hendrik, they're very different animals when they get onto South African soil compared to when they play in Europe, when they get absolutely hammered. And you know, looking at it, I mean, the Dragons are really a poor side. They have won 4 games a season. The Kings have only won 2, but the Kings' 2 wins have come at home. And I mean, the Ospreys as well, nothing too much, I don't think, to play for them. I think mathematically they might be within a chance. The Cheetahs have gone, but I think the Cheetahs are going to put them away. Couch, have you had a look at the Pro 14 or anything else on the weekend that catches your eye?
Do the Kings and the Cheetahs still play rugby? I wouldn't know. I've obviously, I'm on a roll. I might as well lose my Cheetah and Kings fans as well on Twitter.
All I can say is thank goodness you don't live in the Eastern Cape, because you'd be in a lot of trouble then.
No, really, I've put my focus into Super Rugby. So I used to watch the Pro 14 earlier in the competition, but now I've put that away now. I'd like to watch the Champions Cup when that comes around again. I enjoy that kind of rugby now, but no, I'm not gonna be diversifying towards Pro 14. Huh?
Right, that's it. And just Etienne Breitenbach mentioning, of course, is the sevens coming on, and he's gone Uganda sevens plus 16.5, be Germany sevens. So that's an interesting one. Certainly not a high-profile game. Might have found some value there. Sure, Nicholas not on the show tonight, but he'll no doubt be watching the sevens. I think the sevens gets going tomorrow as well. That's in Hong Kong. We'll probably start a thread on the Good for the Game forum So, guys, you can keep your eyes on that one. Gents, let's end off with our best bet for the weekend. I'll start with you, Couch.
Mine's Blues on the minus. What did I say? I think 5.5 Blues to demolish the Waratahs at in Auckland there, and then also points at Loftus. I'm thinking it's going to be a running affair.
Oh, is the 5.5 still? Is that a bet you took earlier? Do you know if it's still available? The 5.5?
Oh, I actually think 5.5. I saw 5.5 at GG, but I think they've gone that down to 8 to 10. 8 to 10. So it might be obviously more 6.5.
Okay, so best handicap you can get. And Henrik?
Brent, I'm going for the Sharks plus 7.5 at 9 to 10. For me, I think the Sharks will actually win the game. I'm going against a lot of guys here, but I really like the Sharks to at least keep it close. So yeah, Sharks plus 7.5, but I like that Pro 14 double even stronger.
That's it. I also like that. I like the double, but I'm going to make my best call. I'm going to go Kings to beat the Dragons at 19 to 20. That's my best bet of the weekend there. But I've got to give a Super Rugby one as well. And if anything, I'd have to say that the stats supported very strongly under 50.5 points in the Reds v Stormers game. That's currently available at gggaming.bet. Guys, thanks very much for joining me on the show. Henrik, good to have you on. As always, you do your homework impeccably. And it's strange to be without the Oracle, but we'll plod on without him for the next few weeks. And yeah, good punting to you over the weekend.
Thank you, Brent. Good luck to you as well. Yeah, we're missing Oracle. Always nice to hear his strong opinions on some of the games. And his granny is probably going to have a bit less stress for next month or so.
No raiding of the pension funds. Couch, thanks very much, man. Are you umpiring any games this weekend?
No. The season is at an end, and I'm actually about to retire my jersey. So it's just about doing the duties, finishing it off.
Right. Well, if you umpire any high-profile games, you may want to speak to us one of these days. See what we can do. And just a big thank you to all the boys in the live chat. Plenty of contributions today. Some great bets, some good banter as well in the chat. Yeah, stay close to the Good for the Game forum. We'll have some more rugby tips and that coming to you over the weekend. If you haven't read our previews yet, please do so. And finally, of course, go down and subscribe to this channel if you haven't done so yet. Guys, thanks very much. It's going to be a big weekend punting. And we'll see you on Sunday for a live show. Haven't confirmed the time yet, but we'll touch side with gggaming.bet and we'll come out with handicaps. And remember what GG Gaming did on Sunday. They held those handicaps for 15 minutes. So if you like something, you can get on it. It's not they're going to shift it straight away. You've got 15 minutes to bet. And I'm sure they did see plenty of action from the Good for the Game punters. Thanks, everyone, and have a good weekend of punting.